Hey everybody, John Foss. I'm talking with Ron Shipp. We're talking about the new documentary, which is called OJ and Nicole, An American Tragedy, which airs October 5th on Investigation Discovery. Ron, thanks so much for being here. And you were really good friends with OJ Simpson growing up. Tell us what that was like. I mean, he was a very charismatic person, an amazing football player. What was it like being friends and growing up with OJ Simpson?
Well, I met him when I was 16, and it was my brother who went to school, my older brother. They went to school. Actually, they were crosstown rivalries, and they played football against each other. And they both had girlfriends that were best friends. And that's how I ended up meeting him after he won the Heisman Trophy. When I was 16, my brother took me to his apartment close to USC, and I saw the Heisman Trophy. And it was wonderful at the time meeting OJ Simpson.
At one point in the documentary, you talk about Nicole. She confided in you. She came out and she told you that OJ was being abusive, and she told you that it wasn't just a one-time thing, that this was a reoccurring situation. Number one, what did you feel like when you heard that news? And number two, what did you do with that information?
Well, when she first told me about it, because the police had been called to the house the night before, and I went to work in the morning because I was working in West LA, and I was actually told by the officer Edwards who was there. And she came by the station and asked me to come by the house after work, and I did. And when she started telling me what happened, that he had hit her, and I said, well, from what I heard from OJ, it was an isolated incident, that he was just trying to fight you off. And she goes, oh no way. She goes upstairs, comes back with all these pictures, past pictures, and I'm sitting there staring at these pictures, going, oh my God, this can't be the OJ I know.
From there, did you confront him, or how did you handle that?
Well, what happened was, because she had put him out the house at that time, and she wasn't going to let him back in. I had read her the profiles of victim profiles of a batterer, and she went down some of the profiles, and she told me, oh, he's definitely jealous, he's definitely controlling, he's definitely verbally abusive. I want you to show this to him, and maybe this will help him stop hitting me. So I did. I met with him. Actually, I met with him for the next 2 days at Rockingham. She would leave, but he'd come by, and we had a good talk. And I mean, he actually seemed very warm, and he was listening to what I had to say. And I showed him the profiles, and he was just like, Ron, I got to save my marriage, And he says, I'm even willing to go back to church, where my mom raised me. He told me all these things. And as a expert in domestic violence, I should have not bought all that, because they tell you that, not to get personally involved, but I did, because he was OJ Simpson. And I'm like, this guy, he's not going to do it again, because he's OJ Simpson, and everybody knows, but I was wrong.
You've been very adamant that OJ Simpson is the killer. How can you say that with 100% certainty?
Well, when I talked to him in the room that night, I never forget, that I talked to a homicide detective at West LA one time, and he was telling me about guys when they repeatedly stab somebody, somehow they cut themselves because of all the blood going everywhere, and the knife slides around in their hand. So when I first saw OJ the day afterwards, his finger was bandaged up. This is one of the things. And I said, how did you do that, OJ? And he said, well, I broke it under glass in Chicago. And I was like, And then I heard him say like some other people came by, and he gave two other examples of what happened, but it was chipping golf balls and getting the cell phone out of the car. And that was just one thing. And then when I went to the bedroom and talked to him, he was asking questions. He asked me, one of the first questions he asked me was, how long does it take DNA results to come back? And I'm thinking, I told him 30 days. And I'm thinking, why would you want to know that? All these things are just storing up in my brain.
Did OJ Simpson ever confess to you?
No, he never confessed. The closest he came to confessing, I guess, is when he said to me, because he said he didn't want to take a lie detector test. And I said, why won't you take the lie detector test? And he says, well, to be truthful, Ship, I've had dreams of killing her, right? And they kept that out of the courtroom. They wouldn't let me testify to that. And when he said he had dreams, here again, as a cop, you always think some of them, when they know they're going to lie, they'll give you an example well, I really can't do that because, I had dreams of killing her. To kind of like just in case they do fail, which he did, and I just kind of felt, he was guilty.
Do you have any relationship with OJ Simpson today?
I've seen him, but I haven't talked to him since I was sitting on the stand.
So you've seen him in person, but there were no words exchanged?
No, the last time I actually saw him in person was at the civil trial, and I was doing an interview there, but I didn't speak to him. Kind of like I was walking by, and this is when he was walking. This is when he was found guilty, of killing her in the civil trial.
As a former friend of OJ Simpson, what kind of advice would you give him if you did talk to him today? Would you tell him to confess to the killings?
I think he should. Nothing's going to happen to him. It put a lot of people at ease. He probably doesn't want to confess mainly because of his kids. That's the only reason I can think. But he's the one that has to, have a relationship with his maker. And I guess it's really up to him. As far as I'm concerned, it's even though I think about her, and I hate to say this, but it's true. I even miss OJ at times, because I had nothing but a wonderful relationship with both of them.
All right. Well, Ron Shipp, thanks so much for being with us. In Twin Cities, make sure you check out the new documentary. It's called OJ and Nicole, An American Tragedy, on Investigation Discovery. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.